My guest today is Chris Gebhardt, Chief Information Security Officer and Cybersecurity Practice Leader at Synoptek. Thanks for being here with us today, Chris.
Hey, happy to be here.
We'd originally scheduled this call for a couple of weeks ago, but you were in the path of Hurricane Ian. How was that? Did you get away unscathed?
Yeah, fortunately, where I am, it was a weird hurricane in its path, very unique. So it actually went south of us, which obviously we were thankful for. Unfortunately, it hit my family and relatives that are down in Fort Myers and everything, and they're recovering and just got power back after 7 days of outage. So it was a beast, that was for sure.
Yeah. But everybody's safe.
Everybody is safe, and that's the big point.
That's great. You're the CISO at Synoptek, which is a large global IT outsourcing firm. Cybersecurity is one of the classes of services that you offer, but not everything they do. What kind of cybersecurity services do they offer in conjunction with the IT?
Yeah, Synoptek is a managed service provider. We're a managed security service provider. So we have this little MSSP space inside the larger MSP of Synoptek as a whole. And we provide soup to nuts, really. Everything and you could think of in the cybersecurity space, from endpoint managed detection and response to SIEM/SOC services for 24/7, 365, awareness around what's going on in a customer's environment, to compliance. All of the compliance teams report to me here at Synoptek, which is a really good fit when you get those two working together. When you get cybersecurity and compliance working together, it creates this much stronger organization. So we do provide compliance services to customers via CISO, so they can get fractional CISO subject matter experts to work for organizations that can't afford a full-time CISO, all the way down to pen testing and getting in there and doing red team exercises and security assessments, and et cetera, et cetera. So if it's in cybersecurity, we pretty much do it. Application security, network security, you name it.
So as CISO there, I guess you're the bridge between like the business units, the compliance, and engineering. Do you still have your hand in engineering?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's nice about the way Synoptek is structured, the cybersecurity function, is everything cybersecurity related, from application security to security operations to compliance, being SOC 2 or ISO, whatever, all report through one single entity, and that's me as the CISO. So I get to control all of that and get those groups working together. And then we follow the programming adage of dog fooding, right? You eat your own dog food. So Synoptek is just another customer for cybersecurity services. So everything that our customers are consuming, Synoptek itself is consuming first and foremost. We don't test stuff out on our customers. We test it out on ourselves. We get it, we work it, we make it work perfect, and then we deploy it to our customers as a customer offering. So I handle both the corporate security for Synoptek, and I handle the customer-facing cybersecurity practice as well.
Very cool. Yeah, I was looking at your LinkedIn, and it looks like you've been in some form of security for about 25 years. Starting in law enforcement, how did law enforcement come into as the career path you wanted to chase?
That's being nice. 25 years. I think I attended my first hacker meeting in 1984.
Okay.
So it's been a while.
Yeah.
I grew up on Long Island, New York, which had a very burgeoning hacker community. There was a publication out there called 2600 for those that are in the know.
I do remember that.
Yes. So 2600 started off in Long Island. We had they had monthly meetings that occurred in Manhattan, and we were, I was a kid at the time, 16 years old. We'd go into Manhattan and go to these hacker meetings. It was pre-internet, before it was all BBS days. So yeah, when you ask, how I got into cybersecurity, that's where I really got wet from wanting to do cybersecurity. But then, went to college and started studying criminal justice and got into law enforcement and really enjoyed, being a patrol officer and all of that. And I made the mistake about 2 years in of letting the organization know that I knew technology and IT. And that was it. That was the end of the road. You never saw the patrol car again. I was working in IT projects and project managing and In hindsight, it was fantastic for my career because I got to work with Booz Allen Hamilton and Perot Systems back in the day. Got to go to their business process reengineering schools and really rethink how business operates. And then with the cybersecurity twist that I've always had, now bringing those together to say, you know what, cybersecurity needs to answer to the business to a large degree, and that we can't be obstructionists. You hear the Department of No, and that's fine. We need to be the Department of KNOW, not NO, right? Where we understand the business, we know the business and what they need to achieve, and we help them achieve that. So I try to be a different Department of No.
That's great. Actually, I was really curious about how you made the jump from law enforcement to cybersecurity, but it's sort of like a reverse.
It was embedded.
Order.
It was embedded. It was there since I was a kid. My first computer was a Commodore PET, and then the VIC-20. So I was using a Commodore PET in school. Really fortunate to go to a school back then that was teaching computers. I graduated high school knowing BASIC, when BASIC had periods between it, Pascal, Fortran, COBOL, all in high school back in the 80s. So it was, and then I went off to, out there to go to law enforcement, which made no sense whatsoever.
Do you have any hobbies outside of computers and cybersecurity, or is that it?
Yeah, building a house. That's a hobby.
Building a house.
Just moved to Florida from Utah after 21 years, and we're in the process of building a house, and all the fun that comes with it. Is our first time, and that is taking up a good majority of time. That is for sure. But when there's downtime, and it's getting on LinkedIn and staying informed and really challenging the environment and challenging our profession to think outside the box. You'll see on my LinkedIn profile, I come up as, I list myself as an iconoclast, right? Because I don't want to accept what everyone believes is true. I want to take that information and prove it myself, or disprove it, right? I mean, we've seen a lot of that over the past couple of years. No politics to mention. So alternative facts, yes, that's it. But yeah, being able to, hey, wait, is this real? If it's too good to be true, let's really dive in. Let's investigate. And, saying that what we've believed in cybersecurity for so long is not necessarily the best practice, right? The Department of NO is not the best practice for cybersecurity. So I like to challenge that aspect of our community, and put that out there to people. So when you ask about hobbies, it's going out on LinkedIn and reading people's posts and engaging with them for the sake of engaging, not for the sake of getting more profile views. No, it's for the sake of learning for everybody.
Is there anything that strikes you as particularly egregious in cybersecurity, or is it death by 1,000 cuts?
Oh God, pick one. It's not death by 1,000 cuts. It's death by a single cut, just multiple times. Right? Death by 1,000 cuts, you bleed out slowly. No, here it's a single cut, you're dead, and they're going to give you another cut and kill you. Give you another cut and kill you.
Right.
Pick your topic. I mean, it's what really bothers me the most is you get these folks that come in and think they're subject matter experts because they I've been in the field for 5 years. Nothing to put them down. It's great. Welcome to cybersecurity. But in 5 years, there's still a lot to learn, and it took me a long time to realize that as well. If you're thinking about cybersecurity from just a cybersecurity standpoint, you're missing the entire point, right? Because if you don't think about it from a business perspective, you're just going to be met with resistance. But I mean, like the bane of my interactions online is, hearing all these folks talk specifically about certifications, and I make no joke about this. The certification field is just mud, right? It's full of so much muck out there. There are some that are absolutely fantastic, but then there's these industry stalwarts that have really gone by the wayside, and people don't want to acknowledge that. For me, for example, I look at the CISSP. Back in the day, it was the only certification. It was a premier certification for cybersecurity. Today, the CISSP, to me, I honestly don't care about it. It is a mile wide and an inch deep of information that really doesn't arm the individual with anything they can use today. You know, I get a CISSP in front of me, I'm going to take the person that has been doing this for 15 years over the person that's got a CISSP and 4 years of experience with a college degree. Because that person with 15 years experience has seen it, been there, done there, got the t-shirt, right? But then there's other certifications that are just stellar. Things like, TCM Security's PNPT, the Practical Network Penetration Tester. You know, they looked at CEH and said, hey, that's a paper test. PNPT is a practical test. Just like the folks over at OPSEC that are doing the OSCP, you know, where it's an operational test for a pen tester. And you don't pass unless you can actually hack the box. Right. You know, to me, those types of certifications are stand up every day, right? Because you've proven not only do you have the knowledge, you know how to use it. And a lot of these paper tests don't have that component. And that's the unfortunate part. So I like to see more of these practical exams. And I encourage folks to go out and seek out these practical exams. So you hit one of my strings there.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of people trying to get into the field, and you know, the big question is like, what certifications do I get? And it almost feels like there's been a business built upon people getting those certifications. Even it's not serving anybody. It's not serving cybersecurity as an industry, and certainly not serving those people if it's not helping them to enter the field.
Yeah, and I really want to help people get into this field. We need more people into this field. My last job as VP of Operations at Stratazin, we would hire folks that had 1 year of help desk experience. They didn't have to have cybersecurity experience. They didn't have to, have 5 years of being in the trenches of cybersecurity. If they had 1 year of even help desk, we would hire them as a security analyst, and we would train them, and we would help them get certified. And to this day, I still believe any folks that are trying to break into this field, look for a help desk job. Because if you can prove after a year that you can do help desk well, you will be a fantastic cybersecurity analyst, engineer, and further, because you'd be able to build up that customer experience, that customer interaction. So do that at first. If you can't get into an IT job, folks, there are so many free training websites out there that center around cybersecurity. You have no excuse not to do training on your own. And trust me, you can put that on your resume. Hey, I completed 40-hour training at, for example, TCM Security. They offer their training for free. It's practically free. It's like $25-$30 for a class, right? Anyone can really afford that. And if you can't, you just have to watch Heath Adams's LinkedIn feed, because he offers the training classes up for nothing every once in a while. So a great company that's trying to give back, and folks, you can take advantage of that. Get one of those certifications and then go on to others. For example, people discredit the CompTIA Security Plus certification. Oh, that's an entry level, certification. I can't tell you how many people I've seen fail that exam because they underestimated it. They took that and said, "Oh, this is an easy exam. I can just go in and do it." No. It's a legit exam. So is it practical? No, but it gets your foot in the door, and there's no work requirements for it. So go for those 3 different areas to start getting into the door. Trust me, that'll get you interviews left and right.
Yeah, the Security Plus is the one I've heard from somebody I spoke with at the Department of Homeland Security. Said it's the best one to get into the government. It's sort of on 95% of the jobs that they post. So
yep, it's basic. Yep.
So this is a practical one, for an organization that doesn't quite have comprehensive security. Is there a thing that you put forward usually as like low-hanging fruit? I don't have one of those with me.
Hey, it's 5 o'clock my time, so I don't even have to say it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So for organizations, there's something that's low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. For people that don't have comprehensive security, they don't have an MSSP, but they're like aware that security is a thing they should be concerned about. What should they do first? What's the first thing they can do to get better?
And it's a fantastic question, because it's the one I confronted when I came to Synoptek. As a customer-facing organization, customers were coming to us and going, "What do I do for security?" right? They're not security experts. They're coming to us and asking, what do I do? And we came up with the Synoptek Secures framework. It's a maturity model that looks at all of these different certifications on the planet, right? It looks at a SOC 2, it takes ISO, it looks at the National Institute of Standards and Technologies frameworks and everything they have there and the special publications. And we took all of that and we boiled it all down and said, what's important? What are the 30 or 40 things that are important? And you may say, oh my God, 30, 40 things, it's a lot. Well, these SOC and ISOs, they have like 400 things. So getting down 10% is good. And then we took it further and we said, here are the top 3 things you need to do. If you're doing nothing else, and we run organizations through what we call a security health check, where we go through our security framework with them. And it's funny because I get to one of the questions is about halfway through, and it deals with multi-factor authentication. And I normally start off by saying, hey folks, I know you've already answered a lot of questions. We have a few more to go, but this question, we can stop the entire process right now if you answer no, right? Do you have multi-factor authentication permeated throughout your environment? And if the answer is no, and the key there is permeated, not present everywhere, right? If the answer is no, stop and do nothing else for the next 2 weeks. Yeah. Because that is the single most valuable thing any organization can do, is get MFA in place. Are we seeing holes in MFA? Yes. But we see a heck of a lot more holes without MFA.
Yeah, so at least those holes, that's pretty MFA. Advanced.
It is, yeah. I mean, you're talking, it is pretty significant, the hoops they have to jump through. And let's face it, you're competing against the rest of the world as an organization. You're not competing against your normal competitors. You're competing against everyone that's connected to the internet. You just have to be a little bit better than everybody else for the bad guys to stay away from you. Because they're not going to spend 6 months trying to hack you when they can go and spend a month hacking 6 other companies and getting 6 other ransoms.
Yeah. Cool. When you look back over your career, is there any specific scenarios, obfuscating everybody involved, but any kind of shit hits the fan type things that you can recount?
Oh boy. Yeah. Pick a myriad of examples. Everything from, you get on site. One of the things I love doing is physical penetration testing, which is basically being on site and trying to gain access to buildings and facilities and server rooms. And it goes without fail that the power of an orange vest and a clipboard is just amazing, right? You can walk in with a clipboard and an orange vest and really get access to almost anything in the building. It's amazing. So, just being able to do that, seeing organizations that have got their cybersecurity and this is factual, having their cybersecurity so tuned up, they challenge, you can't find anything, blah, blah, blah. And you're right, you can't. But then I walk in and I look at their server room, which is hardened, and I can sit there and take a credit card and pop the lock on the server room door. I can't tell you, Chris, how many times I've done that. It's ridiculous that organizations just don't see that physical side. They're so focused on the ones and the zeros that they neglect the physical side. So, I was at an organization recently where it was, if you were an OCD type individual, where everything has to be perfect and in line, especially cabling has to be perfectly strict, it would cause this person to go into a total panic. Because I opened up the closet, the server room door, and it was like spaghetti everywhere. So our job as cybersecurity is to look at this and go, okay, what are we seeing? What could be cross-linked, right? And the worst case scenario was this was a server room that was shared by our client and a different client. And so we go in and we see this spaghetti everywhere. And I'm thinking the worst case that could happen is there's a cross-link somewhere. So I'm hoping that's not the case. Start tracing wires, and what do I find? A cross-link between the networks. Even after the IT director for the other company told me, oh no, we've got this squared away, my network's tight, blah, blah, blah. Fortunately, we found out that the crosslink was bad in his favor, not ours. Our client was locked tight, solid. But if you connected to the public Wi-Fi of our client, you could see his entire internal network.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like, this is like 101 level stuff, right? You should trace out this physical stuff. Make sure, to be network cable OCD is a good thing. I am not putting that down at all. I have an individual who works for me that is just fantastic when it comes to cabling and networking. Everything has to be perfectly in line, and there's a good reason for it. So you can see where your data is flowing. Physically.
There's a subreddit devoted to that specifically, and I'm a subscriber.
You know what? I normally I was not that way until I saw the beauty of it, and I mean, you get that herringbone cable. Oh, it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
we won't say what the slang for it is, but yes.
Yeah. This is a question I'm very curious to ask you, because I've seen you rail against the salesmanship methods used by people on LinkedIn. And as a cybersecurity vendor, I want to make sure I don't offend folks like you. So what is the problem with the way people are selling cybersecurity today?
It's not just cybersecurity, it's everything on LinkedIn. LinkedIn up until about, I would say, check me on this, but maybe 18 months ago was a different platform. And all of a sudden, it's just become this sales platform. And the connect and pitch is what really ticks me off. You send me this nice invite. Hey, I want to be a part of your network and learn from you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, great. Hey, connect. And the next one is generally an automated message. Hey, have you ever thought about, what this could do to your bottom line? Blah, blah, blah. Like, come on. So I give people one time and then I block them. I've just gotten into blocking people. Now that's unfortunate, because if you connect and pitch that way, you're put, and there's lots of LinkedIn forums that talk about exactly this, what not to do, right? I don't mind if I post a problem. I go out on LinkedIn, hey, God, this is what I was doing today, and here's the problem. I don't mind if vendors then, hey, based on what you posted, here's how we can help you out, right? But this cold emailing, this cold pitching, connect and pitch, as soon as I start blocking and others start blocking you because you're using some type of software that automates, hey, you send me one email, I don't respond, and then what happens a week later, the system auto-generates another one. Hey, Chris, we haven't heard back from you, blah, blah, blah. And then 3 weeks later, hey, Chris, I'm following up on the worst one outside of LinkedIn. Hey, just bringing this to the top of your inbox. No, it's in the bottom of my inbox for a reason. Let's leave it there. To me, those are almost auto block. But what that does is LinkedIn is a community, right? And if I auto block you as a salesperson, that means I'm never going to be able to help you in the future. Let's say you need to get a job somewhere and we've had a good relationship on LinkedIn. I'm going to help you out. I don't have to know you personally. It's the engagement we have on LinkedIn. I'm going to try and help you out. Hey, I've been working with this person for 5 years on LinkedIn. We've had great dialogue. Anyone have a good position for them, and use my network. As soon as I block you, I'm never going to see you again, right? So you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by using those types of sales tools. Don't.
And genuine relationships matter, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. I'll bring it up with you and I, right? I originally reached out to you. We were going down the path of actually getting LimaCharlie and using LimaCharlie, and all of a sudden we took a right turn and went a different direction. And went with the competitor. That's nothing against LimaCharlie. That's nothing against you. It's just basically at the moment, that's what the organization needs to do. And here we are, we've still stayed in contact. I still love LimaCharlie. I still love the platform, and I still recommend it to people.
I enjoy listening to your rant.
Yeah, I'm ranting. But it's all about that relationship building. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, awesome. So I guess we're almost at the end here. I got 2 more questions for you. Do you have any advice for people who are thinking about coming into cybersecurity? Like what's advice that you give to somebody starting out in their career? First job, help desk, what next?
Oh yeah, first job, help desk by far. You've already set yourself above and beyond. As I said earlier, get out there and do some of those free trainings. Don't discount it because it's free, and absolutely put it on your resume. I want to see it. One of the first questions I ask interviews, interviewees that are coming in from outside of cybersecurity is like, hey, what have you done to prepare yourself for this? Right? Knowing that there's a plethora of training out there and lots of content, and the normal answer I get is, well, I haven't really done anything. Oh, this conversation's over, right?
Yeah.
If you're not going to help yourself, don't look for others to help you. We put the information out there. There's lots of resources. Utilize those resources. Take advantage of the programs that are out there. More importantly, learn things you don't know. I am not a Mac fan by any means. I am not an Apple fan by any means. And I also hate networking, which from a cybersecurity guy seems ridiculous, right? Yeah. But I can't stand networking. But I took a college level course in networking so I could better understand it. I don't want to do it, but at least I understand it, right?
Yeah.
And do that. If you're trying to get into cybersecurity, do the things you like and do the things you don't like. And then talk about that and say, look, I didn't like pen testing, but I took this course anyway. And, I learned more about it and learned where my strengths and weaknesses were. That's a great thing.
Cool. That's good advice. The last one, which is my favorite, any predictions for the future?
Oh, boy.
What does 2023 hold for us, Chris?
Honestly, more of the same. Because we've seen more of the same, right? We constantly say, I can't believe this is happening again. The next hack comes out, gets announced. The next breach gets announced. And what do everyone in cybersecurity say? Can't believe this is happening again. Yeah. Right. You look at the whole Uber incident that occurred, and I've got a diagram that's out there. Look it up on LinkedIn. Where someone else posted the flow chart of how the Uber hack happened. And I went through on the side and posted in red, here's how it could have been caught or prevented at each stage, showing that defense in depth still exists and is still needed. I'll tell you the one thing you won't see for 2023 is a zero trust product. Okay, zero trust architecture is an absolute thing, and I do like it. I enjoy it. I think it has a lot of merit. When you come to me and say you have a zero trust product, no, that's hype. That's marketing hype. So 2023, we're going to see lots of zero trust products that don't really exist. To borrow the term from the 80s and 90s, vaporware, right?
Vaporware, yeah.
Vaporware. So what scares me most, though, is the eventual advancement of quantum computing. If everything they're saying about that is even remotely a fraction true, it's going to turn cybersecurity on its head, especially once nation states get a hold of it. Yeah. That's really going to cause us some aggravation. Yeah,
it's dystopian one way and paradise another way, right? Depends how you think about it.
Until we get of course, the hacking tools always lead by far the defense tools. Yes. So, we'll have hacks out there. We're not going to have a quantum firewall. We'll have quantum hacks by far.
Yeah, I think quantum entanglement is how they're going to do encryption in the future. Actually, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be very, very the quantum world with quantum computing. The next 5 to 10 years, that's definitely going to be a very interesting arena to look into. Crypto will be there, and it'll change it, and it'll mature, and it'll do things. And I'm sure there'll be some new buzzword we haven't heard of yet. Quantum is definitely coming.
Cool. Well, on that, I'm going to sign off with you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Oh, it's been great. I really appreciate it. It's good to chat. Good to